Okay, we have head coach Kevin Young of 6 seed BYU Cougars. Once again, a reminder, please silence cell phones during this press conference and when the student athletes are up here in a few minutes. No videotaping with cell phones or cameras. And again, once you are called on, please give your name and affiliation before asking your question. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach Young, and then we'll go to questions. So, Coach, welcome.
No, appreciate it. Obviously, we're excited to be here. Excited to advance in this tournament and have a chance to keep playing. Obviously, Alabama was a great team, super well coached, and tall task for us. But have our guys feel like we're in a really good mental place, and we're just excited to get to the game.
Take questions at this time. We'll start here in the front row middle.
Rich Harris from Hoops Prospects. Coach, I thought you have done a masterful job of using your substitutes, and you're as deep as Alabama, really. You go about 11 deep. It seems to me that the pattern has changed in an attempt to improve your defense, I'd say over maybe the last 15 games or so. Is that true, and what is the method to your madness?
It's definitely madness because I wasn't planning on playing 11 guys this late in the year, but usually you go the other way. But I think it's just learning the group, honestly. It's obviously a new team. College is new for me, so there was a lot of things that just the whole season's been a huge learning curve for me. As it relates to some of the things you mentioned with defense and stuff, it's turning into that. Yeah, I mean, we feel like, Mawut came in and gave us, kind of somebody who we can put on other team's best, perimeter player oftentimes. And then, Trey Stewart's been able to kind of come in and spell him at times to do that. So we feel like we've always got somebody out there, athletically that can compete with some of the dynamic guards that you got to face. So that's helped. I think just overall, playing as many guys as we have all year, particularly in the last, like you said, 15 games or so, I think it's probably been one of the biggest things that's helped our season just in terms of our togetherness. Everyone has pushed each other in practice, and everybody knows that they're going to get a chance to go out and help contribute in the game. And I think that in and of itself has really, like I said, brought the guys closer together and gave us a real lift.
Stay here in the front row, and then we'll go to second row. Then we'll go to the other side. Adam?
Hey, Kevin. Adam Zagoria from NJ.com. How you doing? Welcome to Newark. You mentioned the learning curve. Just what are some of the advantages, I guess, of your NBA background? How do you think that's helped you in college? How much of the NBA stuff are you able to use? And how much do you think it helps you recruit, elite players that you have that background?
I think probably where it's helped the most is I'm big on reference points, and so in the NBA, I was fortunate to be pretty much every year in the NBA was on a good team that made it to the playoffs and oftentimes deep runs in the playoffs. And so by virtue of that, I mean, you're putting together 100 game plans a season. You're part of that, and obviously geared towards stopping the best players in the world. And so I reference many of those game plans often.
Let's go second row, and then we'll go across.
Kevin, Rustin Dodd from The Athletic. Same topic, but slightly different. You know, in this era of college sports, and you've been in the NBA a long time, is there a difference between the ways you coach professional players from like a leadership perspective or holding guys accountable compared to the way you handle college guys?
I mean, I would say, at least with the group we have, I can't speak for other teams, but I mean, it is a little bit easier to hold guys accountable just because they're not as opinionated. You know, they don't have as much life experience or basketball experience to, you know, bark back as much. And that's no knock on the NBA. I mean, I didn't really run into a whole lot of problems with it, quite frankly, in the NBA. I mean, those guys are pros. They want to win. In that league, you can prove to the players you can help them win. They're going to listen to you, bottom line. And so that's what I tried to make my mark on, of just being as studied as I could, so that when I said something, the guys would believe it and they would buy into it. Now, in terms of here, similar thing. You know, guys want to win. And so if you can kind of prove to them that, you know, what you're preaching is going to ultimately help them win as a team, and then also individually, you know, help themselves become a better player, then that's how you get the buy-in. And so in a lot of ways, it's the same. I do think it's a little bit probably easier in college.
Go to the other side. We'll start in the front row.
Eric Jackson with Sportco. Hey, Kevin. Question. Obviously, you have driven a lot of momentum since you've been there with BYU, but curious how much credit you think the donor base deserves for some of that success, aiding in recruitment and other resources.
I mean, if you can show me a school who donor bases don't deserve credit, I'm all ears, you know? I mean, that's just what it is. You know, people make a lot of that in today's landscape, but I think anymore, that's the starting point. You know, that's not a separator, in my opinion. It's not, especially as things are changing, right? Even more when you know, that stuff starts getting a little bit more regulated. You know, it's not going to be a needle mover. It's going to be the starting point. And so that being said, one of the reasons I wanted to come to BYU was because of the fan base, donor base in general. You know, that I know a lot of people have school pride, but I think BYU is unmatched, quite frankly, just in terms of how much people love, you know, the school, what it stands for, and the amount of alumni that have come out of BYU who are extremely successful, many of which still live out in Utah. If anyone's been out there, you drive south on I-15 from Salt Lake, and you just see startup after startup, tech company after tech company, successful person after successful person, and those people, most of them went to BYU. And so this place is set up to succeed. I'm definitely riding the wave of a lot of that. But again, I think it's so much more than that. Like, I think what you're seeing, I think anyway, in college sports is you gotta have the whole package. You can't just have one part of it. You gotta be able to, you know, have the funds. You gotta be able to have a blueprint. You gotta be able to have systems. You gotta be able to have player development. You gotta be able to have a style of play. And that's what we're trying to do, is to check all those boxes.
Go to the second row on that same side.
Hey, Kevin. Alex Schiff from Front Office Sports. I got a two-parter for you. Going back to the NBA, you were one of the rare assistants last year to take a college job. And if you look in the past few weeks, there's been 3 or 4 guys who've done the same thing. Just what did you kind of make of what you did becoming more of a trend? And you mentioned the NBA part, but a couple of those guys mentioned that they almost feel like G League jobs and college jobs are pretty similar now. Since you were in the G League, does that resonate with you?
Well, I'm happy that, you know, I'm friends with most of the guys that you mentioned, and talked to most of them actually. So I'm happy that they're getting opportunities to be head coaches and get some stability, you know, for their families. I think that's probably one of the biggest differences in coaching in college versus the NBA is the stability piece. So they're great jobs for that reason alone. So I'm happy for those guys. In terms of the G League, yeah, I mean, I was in that league for a long time as a head coach of 3 different G League teams, and it was a lot different. When I'm actually like the old guy in the room a lot of times now, because that was the D League back in the day when I was doing it. But it is similar because, you know, like the way you get players is somewhat similar. You know, the type of people you're dealing with is somewhat similar. the year-to-year nature of the G League back then. I mean, when I was doing it, it was like week to week. Your best player would get called up on game day, and you'd go out there and play with 6 guys, and you have to figure it out. But I think the turnover is similar. I mean, you can draw comparisons for sure to the NBA, the G League, and college, but I think more and more, like, all those worlds are starting to merge together with similarities.
We're going to go row 4 on this side, and then we're going to go across row 3.
Michael Cohen from Fox Sports. Kevin, with the exposure that you had to players from different countries in the NBA and the G League, the backgrounds that those players had, and learning about sort of what a player is like when they come up through international basketball versus the United States, has that influenced the way you wanted to put together your rosters at all at BYU, both this year and as you look ahead to future classes?
I don't know if that particular experience did that. I think, I was always, thought BYU was a place that could recruit internationally. Just there's a lot of international flavor at BYU. Like, a lot of students, go on missions and come back from a million different countries. And like Yegor's joked a bunch about how many people like speak Russian in Provo. You know what I mean? So I thought, it's a unique place. And so recruiting internationally, because there's also a lot of connection because of BYU internationally. Like, I could probably call someone anywhere in the world and there's going to be a BYU connection. So that was an intrigue. As it relates to coaching other European players, I mean, we play a pretty heavy pick and roll style of play. I think that's where Yegor has been really good. Clearly has been developed over there with understanding pick and roll reads. So that for sure was of interest and will continue to be of interest. And that's probably where I'd say that's kind of stood out the most.
All right, we'll do row 3 right here, and then the next 2 right there. Nope, light blue.
Matt Rybeltowski with Forbes. Hey, Kevin, congrats on a great season. There are multiple sports betting scandals in the NBA and college basketball right now, but Utah is a little unique in that it might be the last state to legalize nationwide. So because of that, are your players sort of immune to what's going on? Just what's your macro view of sports betting in this new environment?
It's not really something that's on my radar that much, honestly. Obviously aware of, my take on stuff like that is I just do what they tell me to do and try not to, muddy the waters in any way. I mean, it was a big deal when I was in the NBA. They'd come in and talk to us for hours about can't tell people who's started or who's hurt, this, that, the other. Honestly, I'm a little surprised that college isn't more that way. Like starting lineups as an example. I'm like, 5 minutes before the game, you find out who started. Stuff like that. Like I think as it relates to just more and more of that infiltrating into college sports, I would think it would become a little bit more regulated like the pro stuff is. But as it relates to our players, we've had several meetings with our administration that kind of explains how things go there. BYU's not immune to stuff like that. I know there was some things in the past that have happened there, but we just try to educate our guys and just make sure that they're playing by the rules as it, when you come to that kind of topic.
3rd row in the middle, and then we'll go to Dan. We're coming from the other side.
Hey, Coach. Gina Mizell from the Philadelphia Inquirer. One of your past coaching stops, obviously, was right down the road, both with the Sixers and with the G League affiliate. I'm just wondering, when you sort of look back on that time of your career, how formative was it for you, and maybe what are some of the lessons from those specific years that maybe you're still holding and applying now?
Yeah, good to see you, first of all. Second of all, yeah, I'd say in a lot of ways, not just basketball. I mean, my wife and my oldest son flew on this trip with me, and I had my daughters, shout out to Jersey. She was born in New Jersey. One of my sons was born in Delaware as well. So this is a special part of the country, for me on a personal level. A lot of unbelievable memories out this way. But in terms of my basketball, yeah, I'd say it was probably it was the most important time of my life as a young coach. Brett Brown was the head coach of the Sixers. He's by far my most influential coach that I've worked with and for. Brilliant guy. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a coach he is, and even better, a CEO. I mean, I learned so much from him from a leadership standpoint, Many of the things I do now are because of the things I learned from him. And that was a unique time going through that rebuild. You know, I got there at the start of kind of the process or whatever, and I saw the whole thing through pretty much. So, the thing that maybe doesn't get discussed enough during that era was how many really good basketball people came through there. I mean, everyone that I was with there there's GMs, there's multiple head coaches. I mean, there's a bunch of guys who have moved up in the world, on the coaching side. A couple guys that are, on Boston's bench now. I mean, guys have won championships. I mean, you go down the list. So clearly Brett and Sam were the leaders of that. But I think that crew of guys, I mean, we're all still really, really close. And we all, learn from each other. And super invaluable time for me, for sure.
Do one final question there in the third row.
Dan Gelson, Associated Press. A lot's been made about the fact that there aren't really any Cinderellas in this, in the Sweet 16. Do you feel, given the greater influence of booster money and NLI money, that we might see a change in the way the tournament goes from here on out? You think the Cinderella is kind of going to be phased out from here on out?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I knew. I'm still so new to this. I don't really know what to make a lot of it. I mean, in a lot of ways, you could say we're a Cinderella. I mean, we were picked 9th in the Big 12, and we're in the Sweet 16. You know what I mean? I know we're in a power conference, but I definitely think it speaks to, how hard mid-majors have it, because everyone's coming to get their play. It's not even that people are coming to get their players. Their players are – kids are smart. You know what I mean? They see what's out there, and they think that they can – better their situation by going in the portal and maybe going to a bigger school that could, offer more to them. So, like anything, I think things have a way of, they work themselves out. People learn whatever the rules of engagement are, people are going to learn how to play them to their, their advantage. I'm sure, the mid-majors will kind of figure out how to work around the way things currently are. So I don't, just on a personal level, no, I don't think the Cinderella idea is done. I think maybe it's just more of a coincidence perhaps this year, but who knows?
Are they really a staple of the team's diet, or not really?
I'm glad we got tots in at the last question, but I was actually mad it took as long as it did. One, for me to find out about the connection with the tots. I'm a huge tot guy, so and then our nutritionist that was with me with the Suns, who I brought here, like 3 meals ago, we finally had tots at the meal table. So I was glad that we finally got those for the whole team. But what a cool story, and Richie's an unbelievable guy. So I'm happy that his play, number one, is kind of what's gotten him in the limelight, and then the tots is like a huge bonus for sure for everybody.
Coach, appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll have the BYU student athletes in just a second. Got about 10 minutes left on BYU's open locker room. So about 10 minutes left with BYU. Just a reminder, a couple other reminders. Please silence your cell phones while the press conferences are going on. Also, no recording of the press conferences with cell phones, cameras, anything like that. The only people allowed to videotape other than Hammond are team videographers and CBS if they are embedded with one of the teams, which I believe they are embedded with BYU. All right. We have Yegor Demon. We have Richie Saunders. We have Trevin Nell. Gentlemen, welcome to Newark. We will go right to questions. Once again, we'll get a microphone to you. Please give your name and affiliation before asking your question. So we'll start here in the front row.
Richie, this year you've had a lot more starts, a lot more minutes, and yet your numbers have gone up. That's a statistical anomaly. Usually when you play more minutes, your efficiency goes down. How would you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just play my game, but I'd say, you know, it really just comes with good people on the court with you, right? Like success for one person goes up when everybody succeeds, like just as a team. But you know, I think it's been a good little. I've just learned so much from the new staff, and they've kind of helped me to get into my spots that help me be effective. But helps to have good point guards that can really get you in that like down and yay. Just have helped me to give me the ball in certain areas.
Stay here in the front row.
Hey guys, Adam Zagoria from NJ.com. How you doing? Kevin was just in here talking a lot about his NBA experience and time with the Sixers and being in the NBA. How much do you think? How much have you guys learned from his NBA background? Anything specific on kind of where your basketball IQ went up from his NBA stuff, and how much do you think that's attractive to guys like AJ Debonsa and future recruits?
Let's start with Trevin, and then we'll go to Yegor on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything, right? When he first got here, the lingo was completely different from, you know, previous coaching staffs. So we had to relearn the lingo of like what the NBA calls different things. But as a shooter, it's been awesome because every play he runs works. But he's a super competitive dude. He's also super humble. He's always asking us for different, you know, advice just with the college aspect. So I think it's awesome to be able to play for somebody that you can, you know, run through a brick wall for. He has that conviction, and then we just all have trust in him. So I think it's huge. And I think in terms of recruits, like who want to play for an NBA coach that has already been there. We have an NBA, you know, strength and conditioning coach. Like everything down the line is all NBA. You know, Danielle's also a nutritionist, so that's been in the NBA. So it's been awesome to be able to have a whole NBA coaching staff around us to help build us up. So I think we really wouldn't want to be at BYU.
Yegor?
Yeah, coming to Trevin's words, I think it's a lot about attention to details and NBA and focused on NBA wise, right? Just how they do there, they just translate it here. And answering on the question about how attractive it is, me personally, I'm here most of all because of that, because of KY coming from NBA, and this is the coach I want to play for, right? Obviously, and talking about future recruits, I think it's going to be one of the main part of the recruiting, just the status of, as Trevin said, our coaching staff that is all around NBA.
We'll go to the second row here.
Yeah, I mean, we had different things with like, we call it like a shake-up. We used to call it snap, and like snap is also a back screen. We call that like an OKC. So like just all offensive terms are, you know, completely different, which sometimes it still kind of trips us up, but it's awesome to be able to have that lingo. And then like we've all kind of dialed in, especially at this point. So it's gonna be awesome for next year going forward.
Go second row, then we'll go to the other side of the room.
Jackson Payne, Deseret News. Richie, you grew up a BYU fan. How meaningful is it for you to kind of have become the face of this BYU team now in the Sweet 16, something that the program doesn't really do a lot historically? I mean, just for your background as a BYU fan.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching these games and just really like praying and hoping that BYU would get in and make a run or whatever. But to be on here, like it means a lot, you know, and to do it with like this team collectively, like it's so fun. Like I just feel like as a team we just care about each other so much, which I mean I couldn't ask for anything more. But you know I'm just super grateful to be here and to be here with BYU. Like it's a dream come true.
All right, we're going to the other side of the room in the second row.
Amanda Kristovich, Front Office Sports. Another question for you, Richie. We obviously know about your family connection to tater tots, but can you tell us, kind of like walk us through how the deal came together and how you and the team are balancing NIL and going viral with trying to stay focused in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, when all you eat is tater tots, like it makes everything easier. No, yeah, it definitely is. It's for the everybody listening. Yes, it is true. But just touching on the first part of your question, right? So, a tweet came out, I guess, a couple weeks ago, kind of went viral. It was just saying, like, yada, yada, yada. Also, Richie Saunders' great-grandpa invented tater tots. And for some reason, some ESPN announcers during the Big 12 tournament kind of lashed onto that and kind of were talking about it during a game. I think it wasn't even one of our games, but it just kind of blew up from there. And then just kind of Orida, the company, the tater tot company, like we just reached out and we kind of figured out the deal from there. And it's been a super fun partnership. It's been so random, but so awesome. They've been super good, and like balancing all that is interesting, and especially during a time like this where your focus needs to be so high. You need to be so focused and dialed in. But KY is kind of through the few months has kind of shared with me, it was like, it's because usually I like to just kind of segment my stuff. I'm going to worry about the NIL, all that kind of stuff after the season, right? But he's kind of helped me see of, like, for example, being a professional basketball player, like you have to have these kind of conversations during the season, and it can't detract from your focus. But you need to have them. You need to have these conversations. But I think the reason we're here is to play basketball, and you win basketball, good things happen off the court. And so, I just in closing, I would say you focus on your basketball. This stuff can be little things that you have to take care of, but your focus is not trying to promote tater tots. It's about winning games, and in turn, the tater tots are gonna win too. You know what I'm saying?
We got a question on this side, third row.
Associated Press. Just to kind of follow up on that for Igor and Trevin, Coach was just up here and he said you guys had just started eating tater tots this week. Is that right? At team meals? Is that right?
We'll start with Yegor.
First time.
First time you ever had a tater tot, period.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was good. It's potato, I guess. I found out that it's potato. I always thought it's something sweet. Yeah.
Trevin?
I grew up eating tater tots, but yeah, it's kind of funny to have tater tots kind of be like the whole thing with the whole team now. And every single time we go to team meals, we're always joking about, oh, where's the tater tots? But yeah, it's shout out to Richie, shout out to his great grandpa, honestly. So we're glad that he can stay in the family business.
Serious note, but how important is it for the future of the college athlete to be able to cash in right away on something that's trending, something that's buzzing, and supplement income or supplement free food or whatever it is that your deal is, back to be able to go forward with something like that, NIL money and NIL deals and.
Yeah, a lot of it comes on the companies. If they I think Orida has done a really good job because they jumped on the ship real quick. They flew out a team in Denver when we were there. I think a lot of it is up to them of if they want to try to cash in, just like I feel like they have. Like tater tots have been sold out in Utah County this whole week.
We'll stay in the third row. Yep, on this side.
Matt Rybaltowski with Forbes. Congrats on a great season so far. Tomorrow's game is being compared to this classic game from 1990 when Loyola Marymount beat the defending champion Michigan Wolverines 149 to 115. Because of that, how shocked would you be if both teams score 100 tomorrow? And do you need to play at that rapid, fast pace to beat Alabama?
Why don't we start with Trevin on that one?
Yeah, shout out to Alabama. Like, they're a really high-octane offense. They have really dynamic guards. They're really well coached. So I think it's going to be both fun to play a team from the SEC and fun to play a team at that caliber. But I think I would be shocked. I feel like we're both, especially we've been really focused on defensive, strategy, defensive mindsets to try to slow them down. But again, like we're both, 1 and 2 in I think offensive ratings right now. So it's going to be definitely a high, fast-paced game. But I'm excited to, hopefully be able to play some good defense, not have it 150 to 149 or something like that in the 1990s. But yeah, that would be awesome.
And Yegor, you want to answer that question as well?
Yeah, in addition to what Trevin just said, I think it's important for us just be focused on our basketball and not changing anything in how we play, and try to play good defense and make them score less than us.
It's true. We'll take one final question here in the fourth row.
This is for Richie and Trevin, both hometown kids. It's been 14 years since BYU was in the Sweet 16. Where were the two of you guys 14 years ago in 2011? And what does it mean to finally be back in the Sweet 16?
Let's start with Richie, and then we'll go to Trevin.
Trying to do some quick math here. I was, 8? I remember watching them, though. Like, it's funny because now some of those guys are on our staff and stuff. But, I mean, yeah, I can remember watching these games and just being super excited for them. But, yeah, I think I was in middle school.
Yeah, people probably joke that I was probably on the team.
I wasn't going to say it.
But no, I don't even remember. I probably was, in school watching them, trying to sneak my phone and try to, tune in. But I know I've been talking to Jimmer a ton. He's given me a ton of help, a ton of advice for the first 2 rounds, and then called him again on Monday, and he gave me some advice going into the Sweet 16. But again, just like Yegor said, we got to play our brand of basketball. At the end of the day, Alabama's going to play theirs. We're going to play ours. It's going to be a fun, fast-paced game, and I'm excited. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and grateful for Cougar Nation. We had a really, I feel like, hometown crowd in Denver, so it was really fun to play up there, and especially kind of rewrite history again. What Jimmer, he won 2 games in Denver, and then the Sweet 16. So it's fun to write our history, but kind of replay that history as well.
Okay. Gentlemen, we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
What's that? You may have, but now going forward. You did it for coach. You just didn't do it for the players. Yeah. Gotcha.